Okay, guys, we're just waiting for our other streams to go live. We're almost live here, guys. Waiting for Instagram and YouTube. And I think we are live now. Guys, I have the clips here for us from the United Nations. Thanks for joining the live. I just got this started. I have clips. We're going to go over United Nations information. So we have Zelensky talking about his meeting with Trump. And I have a couple other clips from the United Nations that are really worth looking at. So we're going to do that in a second. For those of you joining us, we're going to take a look at some of these clips and see what's up. So we're just getting started. I'm looking at my YouTube. That's getting started. Twitch is up. Kick is up. And Rumble. Okay, guys, let's kick it off. And this is Zelensky after his meeting with Trump today at the United Nations. Here we go. And
I'm very thankful for his effort.
A short statement of how a meeting with Trump went.
With the President of the United States was a good, constructive meeting. I'm very thankful for his efforts. I said it during the beginning of our meeting, but I think what is more important, what we discussed. I will not share all the details this time of our discussion, but it was good, and there are some moments about battlefield. I think that President is he knows some details, and I think he knows more details than usual. Not usual, I mean than before, and I'm happy with this, and I'm thankful for him, or maybe also for his people who briefed him, and I briefed him a little bit what's going on, and he agreed with me what's going on the battlefield. And this is very important. What I wanted from the very, very beginning, I wanted just President knows and feel what we feel, and that was so good conversation. Then also it was about the morality of Russian soldiers, and I'm also very happy that information what President Trump has is very close to information what we have. And this is important. I think this is very important to understand, to know what's going on, yeah. And with an enemy, yeah. And also we spoke about we shared some details, and he shared with us, I think, even more, and some details about economy of Russia. It goes, we think, very bad. Of course, still problem that they have a lot of cash. We know how they, I mean, this made money in Russia, made and make, and but it's, I mean, this is their way of life. Yes, the good news for us, because they spend money for war machine. The good news that economy is in a bad shape. Bad news that they still have a lot of money, much money. Yes, but it's decreasing. And of course, in this case, we agree with President to stop buying any energy resources from Russia. In all the countries, I support him, of course, and I said to him that I had long conversation. By the way, long conversation with the Prime Minister of Slovakia. They are one of those countries who who bought gas and oil, and it's I know the difficulties of logistic. To get energy resources to some European countries. That's why they are searching and finding each time cheap way how to get cheap resources. But at the end of the days, you know, I mean, they will pay 10 times more, and they will pay by their independence. We know it. In Ukraine, it was during long period of time. Ukraine, because we neighboring with Russia, and of course Russia gave Ukraine, sold Ukraine cheap energy resources, and it was big mistake of Ukraine, big mistake, and we've been very dependent on it. And then Russia began to influence on your everything: independence, freedom, elections, parliament, a lot of things. And that's why I understand Slovakia that I think that they are ready to find alternative way. This is good. The bad news, I think, that Orban, Viktor Orban, the Prime Minister of Hungary, that he's not ready, and I think this is mistake. But all Hungary can't pay for the mistake of one person, and I think this is very important moment. But I hope that President Trump he has to deal with, this, because he knows Orban and other European leaders. I think they will also have dialogue with Viktor, especially EU countries. But maybe your questions.
Yes.
I'm feeling like President of the United States. When everybody. No, I'm not. I'm the President of Ukraine. So let's one by one.
Caitlin Jormas with the New York Post. Wondering if you can talk a little bit how you were able to show the president what it looks like on the battlefield. We know he hasn't been to Ukraine, but really it seems like, especially in what you're saying and what he said in his Truth Social post, he has a new understanding of what's going on the battlefield.
He has had relations with Putin. And before my dialogue with him, he had these relations. And I don't know on what this relation based, but in any way he has it, and that's why he trusted that when Putin shared with him the situation in Ukraine on the east, that in one day, in 1 week, in 1 month, or these fairy tales that they will occupy totally our Donbass east, or part which we control, yes, big part which we control. And of course he trusts him. And when then he back to me, President Trump, during phone conversations or dialogue, yes, he always said that, look, in autumn they will occupy, we need to do something, and etc. And then one by one he understood that Putin is just sharing some information which is far away of a real situation on the battlefield, far away of truth. And of course, then when now he trusts much more bigger to me, because to the information what my intelligence and my military guys, military cabinet shares with partners. And I think this is one of the moments. The second is understandable that, for example, in September, is it now September? Yes, now September. Yeah, good. Good news. Yes, in September we deoccupied it to about 360 kilometers. But this, and we control about 200 and 160 under our this is the encircled. So totally it will be about 400 kilometers. It's not about number of kilometers. It means that if you are winning, you can't give, this, or you can't back 400 kilometers 1 month. So all such moments, 1 moment, then second, then intelligent, then the sword, and etc. So all this has influence on partners. Europe is closer. And of course, they are closer. That's why they are more deep in this situation from the very beginning of the war. It's understandable why. The distance is short. Everybody afraid. You see the war. What we said, that Putin will sell the war on different territories, and the same. And today, President Trump agreed with me that I said he will not wait for the ending of war in Ukraine. He will try to find weak places in Europe, in NATO countries. He will try to do it. I said previous our meetings, I said I don't know what format he will choose to find. because cyber attacks he used before many times. But now we see. So yesterday you see Denmark, Norway, Nordic, Baltics during all these months, from Belarus, from Russia through Belarus. We see this. We have all this way of these drones. So Romania, Poland. So he uses different types of long distance drones to understand how Europe is ready. So I don't know what country, again and again, but does Europe ready than what they have? Because if you will analyze the way, you will see that they search. I mean, they're searching. Yes, am I right? They're searching. Yeah, good. They're searching air defense, the level of air defense, the level of trained people, and sorry for this word, educated, because the world is changing, more technological. That's why the more educated people, I mean military guys, on different, and how at the end of the days, and how NATO will answer, by words or by what.
President Zelensky.
With ITV, just picking up on that exact thought, given this social media post tonight from President Trump in which he talks about the possibility now, for the first time, of winning back all of Ukraine's territory. I mean, is that a game changer for you? Does it include Crimea, and how will it impact the morale of troops on the front line?
I said it from the first second of our today's meeting. I will not share all the details.
But from your perspective, is it a game changer that he now believes, that President Trump now believes?
Trump is a game changer by himself if he will be sure in Ukraine, and I think that he is more close now to this situation, and that's why, and between us, only Trump can. For today, we know some not too much players in the world who can be game changers, but he's the most closer to this.
Wow.
So we don't see,
Okay.
we don't see and don't feel, and I shared it with President, we don't feel the influence, because we don't see the wishes from the China to finish this war. I don't feel it totally. They are not interested. I don't know why. I mean, all of us, we can be experts, and me also, to say that, look, it's because of economy, because of history, and etc. But we really don't know. But we see and feel that they are not interested in. And that's why I said that for today, I see that Trump is game changer, and Xi Jinping can also have influence on Russia, because he has. Because if he will not have Trump, I mean Putin, and will not have Europe, and also if his economy, first of all, energy economy, will not have market in China, it means that's it. This cash, he will spend his cash very quickly, because his war machine, it's a lot of money.
President Zelensky, Sky News.
Let's have Ukrainian media, please. Yes.
Пане президенте, sorry guys, I would ask in Ukrainian for our domestic audience. Пане президенте, ви вже частково сказали, от цей трус президента Трампа дуже...
Okay, guys. So you heard what he said. He said Trump can be a game changer, and I'm going to show Trump's meeting with him right now. I'm going to switch over to that. Here we go. Here's Trump and Zelensky sitting together. Let's put them on together so we can see exactly what they're doing here. And just so you guys know, what Zelensky was just saying is that the economy of Russia is not doing well, and that's going to help them in this war. And he says, however, they do have a lot of money that they've already made. So even though their economy may not be that well, they still do have money to spend. Then he followed up by saying that they have they have already spent a lot of money on the war. So he's saying a lot of different things. He's saying their economy is bad, but they have money, but they spend a lot of money in the war, but they still have money. Let's hear what the meeting was like with Trump.
And we're going to start a meeting with the president, who we all know very well, and he's a brave man, and he's putting up one hell of a fight. And we'll see how that all turns out. But we're going to have a meeting, and we have about 30 meetings scheduled today. We have a lot of meetings scheduled today, going pretty late into the night. But this is an important one, and we have great respect for the fight that Ukraine is putting up. It's pretty amazing, actually. So, Mr. President, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. First of all, thank you for this meeting. Thank you for your personal efforts to stop this war just now, Mr. President. And I'm happy to say that just now our first ladies of Ukraine, first ladies of the United States,
Yes.
just now we'll have a meeting about Ukrainian children. Thank you for Melania's personal involvement to this topic. And this is very important. I will brief Mr. President and his team what's going on the battlefield. We have good news. Of course, we want to stop the war, and with your help, first of all. And it's good that our soldiers occupied 360 kilometers this month, and of course we will speak about how to finish the war and about security guarantees. A lot of what to discuss. Thank you.
Would you like to say how you are doing on the battlefield?
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. So we, thanks to our soldiers and to possibility to pearl the program when NATO countries, by the way, thanks to your support, that they can buy weapon from the United States. So our soldiers this month, they occupied 360 kilometers, and they encircled 1,000 soldiers. And of course we want to exchange, because we need our soldiers in any case. But thanks to our soldiers, we have this possibility, this opportunity. And we will continue until Russia will stop this war, and I hope that they will stop. In any case, we know that the economy of Russia is not doing well with this. During this war, we need more pressure and more sanctions, and I hope with United States, first of all, and Europe, but we support, Mr. President, your idea, and I want to discuss it, how to stop some countries from Europe, how to stop them possibility to buy Russian oil and gas.
Right.
Yes, I had conversation, by the way, with President of Slovakia, Prime Minister of Slovakia. We had good conversation. I think that they need some alternative ways, and they will support this idea. I'm not sure that Hungarians are ready, but everything is in the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Mr. President, do you think that NATO countries should shoot down Russian aircraft if they enter their airspace?
Yes, I do.
Mr. President, any update on your talks with President Putin, and do you still trust him?
I'll let you know in about a month from now, okay?
President
Mr.
Trump, your
President, are
message
you
to
willing
the...
to provide Ukraine with the security guarantees the same way as European allies?
Well, that's later down the road. We'll be talking about that. It's a little bit too early to answer
Why
that
do you
question.
think Mr. Putin is not
Yeah, go
going
ahead,
to meet
please.
with both of you?
President Trump, your message to President Orban, who is refusing to stop buying Russian oil.
Well, he's a friend of mine. I have not spoken to him, but I have a feeling if I did, he might stop, and I think I'll be doing that.
What progress do you think has been made on ending Russia's war against Ukraine since the last time you saw President Zelensky?
Well, the biggest progress is that the Russian economy is terrible right now. It's, as you know, it's crashing. And that, frankly, Ukraine is doing a very good job of stopping this very large army. It's pretty amazing. You know, this is a war that should have ended in 3 days, 4 days. People said it was going to be very quick, and you got to hand it to the Ukrainian soldiers and everybody involved. It's still going on, and that's not a good thing for Russia. This was supposed to be quick, and so, you know, Russia doesn't look very distinguished, having taken 3.5 years now, right? It's about 3.5 years of very hard fighting, and it looks like it's not going to end for a long time.
Mr. President, have you been briefed on the latest alleged drone incursion into Denmark? What do you think of that? And
Where? Where are they?
Into Denmark, Copenhagen. Denmark is saying that there were
Some
drones
drones
at
attacked
the
them.
airport, possibly Russian sabotage. What's your response to that? Will the U.S. have a material?
Well, I have no response until I find out exactly what happened. I know about it, but they don't know what happened. But we're going to find out very soon.
Sir.
Would you back up NATO allies? You said that you thought that they should shoot down the Russian aircraft. Would you back them up? Would the United States help them out in some way?
Depends on the circumstance, but we're very strong toward NATO. NATO's stepped up. When they went from 2% to 5%, that was great unity. Trillions of dollars is being pumped in, and they're paying us for the weapons that we send. But that was a big day that nobody thought a thing like that could happen. You had countries that weren't paying 2%, and now they're all paying 5%. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of weapons they're buying, and they're buying them from us. They're buying them from the U.S. In the old days, Biden gave them everything, gave them $350 billion worth of money and weapons. That's a lot of money and a lot of weapons, and we got really not much for it. We gave the money to Ukraine to fight, and they've proven they're very brave. I mean, look, they're fighting, and this is a war going on 3.5 years, and people thought it would be over quickly because Russia's a big military power, and Ukraine, I tell you, they are good fighters. Got to hand it to them. They have a lot of courage, a lot of guts. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, guys. So there's Trump's meeting, and I have another video for us to look at.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. It's a great honor.
This is his meeting with, I subbed just to hear Trump and country from Saul. Awesome. Thank you, Angel. Appreciate you subscribing. Before we get to Trump and other leaders, I want to listen to, this was pretty interesting here, guys. So this is about Gaza, and this is the meeting that they had with Russia, China, and U.S. about Gaza. So check this out.
The representative of the United States.
Thank you, Mr. President. I find it, and we find it deeply regrettable that council members have opted to convene this high-level UN Security Council briefing on Gaza on Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, knowing full well that that decision excludes Israel. And frankly, colleagues, it's a testament to how this council has prioritized a lot of performance over serious efforts to actually advance peace. Serious efforts that President Trump, Secretary Rubio, his team, and partners like Egypt and Qatar are engaged in right now as we speak, to end this horrific war. There have been over...
Guys, I'm curious, for those of you that are paying attention to what he just said, what do you think about this? Because this happened today. Okay, they're having meetings today about Gaza. They're including Russia. They're including, obviously, the United States, who's speaking now. But what he just said is very interesting. They chose today. Today is a Jewish holiday where they would not be attending this meeting. They chose today knowing that Israel would not be able to be part of the meeting. What are you guys' thoughts about that? Because what he's saying is it's not cool that they did that. They should have, they could have chosen a different day. So just really curious what your guys' thoughts are about that for all of these guys, all these nations choosing a time when they know Israel is on vacation to hold these meetings about possibly the fate of Israel and what's going to happen with the war. So I'm going to keep playing. You guys let me know what you think.
80 council meetings on this issue since October 7th. The main outcome of these meetings, unfortunately, has been to embolden Hamas, to undermine and disrupt negotiations that are aimed at freeing all of the hostages and ending the war and ending the suffering that we all want to end. Unspoken today, in the last 2 weeks alone, Israel has suffered 2 terrorist attacks in Jerusalem on September 8th and at the Allenby border crossing on September 18th. We condemn these attacks. We offer condolences to the families of those killed. We call upon other countries to join us in a clear and explicit condemnation of this violence by Hamas and its ideological allies. And extremists like the terrorists who killed 2 IDF soldiers on September 18th have shown their utter contempt for the people of Gaza. Hamas has shown its utter contempt for the people of Gaza. They struck the very border crossing through which nearly half of all aid delivered to Gaza between May and September of this year has passed. Let me say again, Hamas struck the border crossing through which half of all aid through the better part of this year has passed. No country here would willingly allow terrorists like this to threaten its people. Israel should not be expected to be any different. And of course, has the right to defend itself from groups that wish to do it harm. As Secretary of State Rubio recently said, as long as Hamas exists, there will be no peace in the Middle East. And every member here has seen evidence of how Hamas has starved hostages, has tortured them. We've heard the testimony of freed hostages and what they've endured in captivity. And sadly, some endure still. We, the United States, again demand Hamas immediately release all 48 remaining hostages and their remains, cease putting civilians in harm's way, cease sacrificing their own people for propaganda aims, that they disarm, and that they surrender. This war could end today if that happened. But Hamas refuses. While Israel has accepted the negotiators' proposals, rewarding Hamas's refusal, whether with performative conferences or one-sided Security Council resolutions, colleagues, it undermines and it delays achieving the peace we all want. Unfortunately, yesterday's conference spoke to domestic audiences, but it will prolong this tragic war in Gaza, and it will prolong the suffering. Hamas stands emboldened today after that conference. We've rewarded its obstruction. We've undermined efforts to achieve peace in both the short and the long term. Unilateral recognition statements do not alter the reality on the ground. It does not alter the fact that there is not a Palestinian state to recognize. And at this point, there is no credible Palestinian partner for peace. The Palestinian Authority leaders from Ramallah are absent from New York this week because they failed to meet their Oslo commitments. The commitment.
Okay, guys, I'm going to forward this a little bit. There's also China going to speak and Russia's going to speak. China comes in and I listened to this a little bit earlier. Here's China.
Two-state solution once again issued a strong call in support of the two-state solution. A number of Western countries have recently recognized the state of Palestine one after another. The international community should sustain the current momentum, strive to revitalize the prospect for the two-state solution, and support the early establishment of an independent Palestinian state and its early admission as a full member state of the United Nations. Both Gaza and the West Bank are inalienable parts of the Palestinian territory. We must resolutely oppose unilateral actions that undermine the foundations of the two-state solution. Any day-after governance and reconstruction arrangements must respect the will of the Palestinian people and uphold the legitimate rights of the Palestinian nation. Fourth, we must maintain peace and stability in the Middle East. From the onset of the current Gaza conflict, there has been frequent abuse of force and military adventurism, which have triggered profound changes in the regional landscape. The Middle East is once again standing at historical crossroads: relaxation or escalation, dialogue or confrontation, peace or war. These are the choices that the regional countries and us, the international community, should make collectively. A viable way to solve the Palestinian question is irreplaceable
actions, regardless of the justifications for those actions, is unacceptable and cannot continue. Among the international community regarding the fact that what is happening in Gaza due to Israel's actions, regardless of the justifications for those actions, is unacceptable and cannot continue. Last Thursday, 14 members of the Council voted in favor of a draft resolution demanding an immediate and unconditional ceasefire, the release of all hostages held by Hamas, the lifting of the severe humanitarian blockade of Gaza, and the provision of safe and unhindered access to those in need. Unfortunately, the United States blocked that resolution, using its veto for the 7th time on this issue. A little earlier, however, the Council did manage to agree on a statement, albeit a very general one, condemning Israel's attack on the sovereign state of Qatar. The UN has so far failed to stop the bloodshed in Gaza or to compel Israel to return to the path of a two-state solution. However, over the past 2 days during the international conference at the General Assembly, important symbolic steps have been taken, with a number of countries recognizing Palestinian statehood. This is a belated but extremely important signal to Israel's military and political leadership, a signal that justice for the Palestinian people must be restored. Sadly, it took nearly 2 years of Israeli operations in Gaza and over 65,000 civilian Palestinian deaths for this to happen. Recognition of the Palestinian state is not a favor to Ramallah. It is a historic duty owed to the Palestinian people, one that should have been fulfilled nearly 80 years ago. Russia has been calling for this for decades. Let me remind you that the USSR recognized the state of Palestine back in 1988. Israel, however, not only remains deaf to the appeals of the international community, but, encouraged by its American allies, responds with threats, claiming that the wave of new recognitions of Palestinian statehood is allegedly a reward to Hamas for the October 7th terrorist attack. In West Jerusalem, there is open talk of formally annexing the West Bank following the high-level week. That is why a clear signal must be sent now that such steps are unacceptable. We must certainly not give in to any threats of retaliatory measures. As the Secretary General said, only our actions can put an end to what is happening. Colleagues, the international community's united support for the Palestinian people's aspirations to live peacefully in their own state is the momentum we must collectively build. We must work to translate into practical reality. The main task right now is to ensure that the crisis in Gaza is resolved not through brutal facts on the ground, in other words, by completely clearing out all Palestinians, which is the aim of Israelis' leadership, nor through their displacement from the enclave and its commercial redevelopment, as proposed by various radical Western plans. Rather, this must be done through humane, civilized diplomacy that unites efforts within the UN and regionally among Arab states seeking to help their Palestinian brothers and sisters. Palestinians are not the object of social experiments. They are a people with the same right to sovereign existence and development as our own nations. But diplomatic efforts of any kind will only succeed if Israeli authorities abandon their reliance on military solutions. They must recognize that this approach will bring nothing good for Israel itself, which simply cannot develop and live in security in the context of a military operation on all fronts. The second key element is for Washington to recognize all this as well and stop viewing UN fora and multilateral diplomacy as an enemy that supposedly obstructs American diplomacy on the ground. Unfortunately, what we currently see is the exact opposite. Both Israel and the United States continue to claim that West Jerusalem is acting humanely in its fight against terrorism. This is how official Israeli reports justify strikes on hospitals and schools, attacks on humanitarian convoys, and the deaths of women, children, and aid workers. Hate speech and propaganda bring ordinary Israeli soldiers to kill dozens of innocent Palestinian civilians daily, sincerely believing that this is all for the greater good of the Israeli state. In this way, for nearly 2 years, West Jerusalem has been systematically constructing and imposing a distorted narrative in which Palestinians are second-class people who can be exterminated, displaced, starved, and killed even directly at humanitarian aid distribution points. UN leadership, its humanitarian bodies, and even member states calling for a ceasefire and humanitarian access are unabashedly labeled by Israeli representatives as terrorist accomplices. This radical, distorted rhetoric, along with West Jerusalem's clear intent to continuously escalate the situation in the region, a situation that is already drawn in Lebanon, Syria, Iran, Yemen, and Qatar, undermines any progress towards a peaceful resolution of the Middle East crisis. The Israeli strike on Doha, one of the key mediators in negotiations, clearly demonstrated that Israel is not aiming for diplomacy, but rather for endless war, even at the cost of the...
Okay, guys, I'm going to move on to the next video. These guys, all three nations talk, so Russia, China, and U.S., Russia, and China all discuss this. They basically give scripted speeches. But I wish it was more of a back and forth where we hear some dialogue and some debate, which we don't get to hear, which is unfortunate. A lot of these guys are not prepared for that kind of a dialogue, open dialogue, and we need that. Curious what your guys' thoughts are. A couple of things stick out. One thing that sticks out is, how do you guys feel? What do you guys think about Russia talking about Israel's attack on Gaza, being that Russia's literally doing that themselves to another country as we speak? That's one thing. Another thing that comes to mind is there's a lot of talk about what everyone thinks Israel should do, but you don't hear a lot of them talk about what they should do with, what the Palestinian Authority or what Hamas should do with the hostages. So there's that as well. But I'm going to go to this next video. We're going to talk about Rubio a little bit because he talks right before Trump gives his speech. So let's check this out.
Things the president's going to have to address and is going to address is the UN itself. And that is, why do we still have a UN? It has tremendous potential. The UN is an organization that has the potential to do some great things around the world, but it's not doing it. If you look at Russia and Ukraine, you have a war going on there. It's the president that's been carrying the burden of trying to bring it to an end. The UN is playing no role. If you look at what's happening in Gaza with Hamas and everything that's happened there with Israel taking them on, what role is the UN playing? None. We're going to try here, and even as close to home in the Western Hemisphere, in a place like Haiti, that's been overrun by gangs that control that country and has destabilized the region. The U.S. is asking for the UN to step up and play a very important role. We have a lot of support, but it looks like China might stand in the way of this effort to bring that about. The UN will play no role if they do that. So I think what the president's going to do is challenge the UN to find its meaning and its purpose and its utility as an organization, because it doesn't seem to be doing the job, and it's pretty good at spending a lot of money. I think you can anticipate the president will point to his own history with the UN, going back to his time here as a developer, where he actually offered to fix the UN building, and instead they chose to go in another direction, wasted a bunch of money, and really didn't achieve on the building's perspective what needed to happen. And I think it's emblematic of how feckless the UN has become as an organization. It's just a place where once a year a bunch of people meet and give speeches and write out a bunch of letters and statements, but not a lot of good, important action is happening. So again, the UN has a lot of potential, but it's not living up to it right now.
It's funny, he just kind of spoke to what I said, and it's that these guys just got together, gave some scripted speeches, which is what we saw here. Right, guys? These guys got together in this room right here, gave some scripted speeches, and didn't even debate it so that the world can hear their debate, because that's what we want to hear is their debate. Everyone is giving scripted speeches from their own countries. They don't all need to come to the UN to give scripted speeches. They could just do that all day long. And of course they can debate from home too, but we would love to hear debate. We would love to hear like what they're doing. Like, what are some solutions? What are you going to do? How can people help? How can other nations help? Let me look at some of these. Blah, blah, blah. Politics. Marco loved it with the agreed engine. Especially in the U.S., it's complete and utter nonsense that people utter. I just think that we deserve to hear dialogue. We deserve a back and forth, and they don't do that here. So that's something that bugs me a lot about these UN meetings. It's just they get together, and I'm going to get back to Trump here in a sec. But at the UN, they get together and they just give scripted speeches. It's kind of whack, to be honest. Yeah, I'm trying to read these things. Normal people don't try to figure out what's going on in this world. Right? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's just the thing is that, again, we want to hear them talk. And unfortunately, a lot of these types of politicians are not prepared or are not capable of having those type of open debates. They're all afraid they'll say something wrong. And it's like, dude, we want to hear what are the opinions and what actions are we going to take going forward? So let's listen to this discussion here.
Honored to be with a friend of mine, Emmanuel Macron, President of France. He's doing a really good job. He's fighting hard. He's fighting on a lot of fronts. He's helping with regard to the Russia-Ukraine catastrophe. And his words of wisdom mean a lot. And we've been friends for a long time now, really, from the first term on. And I appreciate you being here. It's really nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm very happy to have the opportunity to exchange with President Trump and our teams. And indeed, we have a lot of things to do together, and especially fix these crazy wars we have. And I just saw the message you issued after your meeting with President Zelensky, and I think it's a very right one. I mean, if we back concretely Ukraine in this situation, given the Russian economy is suffering, I mean, there is this opportunity of a good future.
It is.
So we will back it.
I think so. They're very enthusiastic in a lot of ways. It's been a terrible war, should have ended. And Russia should have stopped it, but they've been 3.5 years and they've gotten not so far. So we'll see what happens. But the other side can fight too, and they've proven that. Maybe it could be that Russia's a paper tiger. I don't know what they are, but 3.5 years of fighting and killing everybody, of killing 7,000 people a week for nothing. So it's a very sad situation. But most of you have seen the recent statement I put out a little while ago, and I'm glad you got it. But I feel that way. I really do feel that way. Let them get their land back.
Yep.
So we'll see how it all works out. And in the meantime, I hear France is doing well, and you're doing well. And he's been my friend, and we've gotten along on just about every subject there is to get along with, other than on occasion wine. I say, wouldn't you like to pay a couple of dollars to put the wine into America? But we've always treated you good, right?
We will try to fix all these issues, but we had very good discussions. And I think peace as an objective everywhere, in Ukraine, as the Middle East, is a common objective we have. So we will work hard on that.
Emmanuel has actually helped me with a couple of the wars. We settled 7 wars. The biggest disappointment, but I think that'll happen eventually, is the Ukraine and Russia situation. But we've settled. I thought that was going to be the easiest one because of my relationship with Putin, but unfortunately that's it. Relationship didn't mean anything, unfortunately. But when I needed some advice and when I needed some help in terms of a country in that part of the world, you were always there. And you helped me settle some of these 7 wars. I'm very proud of the 7 wars, but you helped me settle them, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions for the President?
President Trump, President Macron just said that if you want the Nobel Prize, you should put an end to the war in Gaza. What's your response to that?
Well, they say that all together. I mean, it's Gaza, it's Russia, it's everything. I think Gaza's going to come along. We're going to have a very important meeting, and my next meeting actually is going to be very important. with leaders in the region. And we're going to talk about Gaza. We're going to see if we can do something about it. We want to stop that. We want to get our hostages back, or their hostages back. We've gotten all of the American hostages, as you know. And Alexander, all of them have been back. Steve Witkoff's done a great job. And Marco always, and everybody. I mean, we have Scott got involved and strongly involved, and from a financial standpoint, we're doing some things that are pretty good. We put Iran out of commission, very important. That was called the bully of the Middle East, and they're out of commission. Now we're going to have a meeting today. I think it's going to be a successful meeting with all of the leaders of many of the biggest, I would say, the most important countries having to do with Gaza, indirectly and directly. And that's going to take place just in a little while. So I'm sure you'll be there, and we could have an outcome very quickly.
What is the recognition of Palestine as a gift to Hamas?
Well, I think it honors Hamas, and you can't do that because of October 7th. You just can't do that. But we want our hostages back, and we don't want them back in, ones and twos and take the next 2 years because of October 7th. The most important countries having to do with Gaza, indirectly and directly. And that's going to take place just in a little while. So I'm sure you'll be there, and we could have an outcome very quickly.
What is the recognition of Palestine as a gift to Hamas?
Well, I think it honors Hamas, and you can't do that because of October 7th. You just can't do that. But we want our hostages back, and we don't want them back in, ones and twos and take the next 2 years to do it. We were the ones that got the hostages back. And I always said, I told Steve, I told Marco, I was always saying the last hostages are going to be the toughest ones. But you can't honor them by doing anything like you suggest. All you can do is say, we want our hostages back, and we want the war to end. We're going to want it to end. But you always have to remember, people forget October 7th was one of the most savage days in the history of the world. There's never been anything like that. We're talking about babies being sliced in half. You're talking about young children having their heads chopped off. You can't forget that.
Would you recognize Palestine if the hostages
And just
were back?
perhaps to make it clear on that, I think it's why yesterday 11 countries did recognize Palestine. Not as, I mean, it was not a decision taken like that, neither by UK, nor by Canada, nor by France. It's just a big change. President Trump is totally right. Nobody forgets the 7th of October. I went there a few days after, taking families in my hands, and we experienced all together these horrific attacks. And by the way, we lost a lot of French people in these terrorist attacks. But after almost 2 years of war, what is the result? Once again, they killed the top leaders of Hamas. It works. This is a great achievement. But at the same time, you have as many Hamas fighters as you had the first day. So it doesn't work to dismantle the Hamas. This is not the right way to proceed. So we need a full-fledged process, and we worked very hard on the day after, and I totally share this sequencing. The release of all hostages, the ceasefire, resume of humanitarian aid, the day after in Gaza to stabilize the land, and we need a political perspective, and this is why we took this decision on recognition.
Well, I have to say that I'm on the side of Israel. I've been on the side of Israel really my whole life. And we are going to get a solution, and it's going to be a solution hopefully that's good for everybody. But it's time to stop. We're going to have that very important meeting. I think the meeting we have coming up in the next hour is going to be one of the most important meetings that we'll have here. Now, we've had some important meetings. We've had some great meetings, and I understand where you are and where other people are too. And we just have to get this solved. We have to get the hostages back. We want to get the war over. That's very important. We're going to end the war, get the hostages back, and we want them all back. We don't want to have one and then we'll give another 2 in about 3 months from now. We've been doing that for a long time. And in all fairness, we've gotten a lot of hostages back. But you have 20 hostages and you have probably 38 bodies, dead bodies. And the people that I see, and I speak to Israeli families, I was speaking to American families before, but we got them back. but I speak to Israeli families, and they want the son who died. They want their dead son back as much as though he were alive. And it's an amazing thing to see, and it's a horrible thing actually to witness, but I've seen it a lot. So they have 20 hostages, they have 38 dead bodies, and we have to have them back, and we have to have them back immediately. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Brad.
Guys, I'm going to jump in the chat before I go to the next video, which is right here. So as soon as we do this, I'm going to jump in.
Well, thank you very much.
So we are so I think I agree with America first, guys. I think every country should be standing up for their all the people should stand up for their own countries. And I do think that Trump being America first and being that kind of example has caused other countries around Europe to stand up for their own countries. So like, for example, in England, you're seeing a lot of people in England stand up for their country now, whereas before they were afraid to do that. I'm curious, what are you guys' feeling about that? And then there was another comment here in the chat that you guys said that I was going to respond to. Oh, somebody here said, I'm going to go back to it. Okay. This was from Robin. It says, from the other side of the world, it doesn't seem so united. And he's talking about America. I think that, yes, to other people, to other countries, or to other people in other countries, it may not seem like America is united. And the reason for that is because we have a very open system, open dialogue. We allow freedom of speech, and we allow for differences of opinion. And because of that, you see us talk about so many different things, and we allow, and it's a right that we can speak about everything. And sometimes that can seem like we're very polarized. However, we have not had some type of an event or some type of specific reason to come out and be united like we did on at times like, for example, September 11th. When something like that happened to us, you saw when we were very united. And when there's events like that, or when there's the need for us to get together and to do something or to mobilize or whatever, you will see that happen. But in the time like now, America is not being attacked, thank goodness, and it's not in some type of a horrible situation where you need to see all of us come together and you know, mobilize or do something in that way. So I will say that, and we're going to go next to Uzbekistan. But I do also want to see.
Well, thank you very much. It's a great honor to be with a very powerful.
I want to see this one because this is with the European Commission. So let's see what they have to say here.
Very smart woman and a friend of mine, become a friend of mine. And she does a fantastic job running lots of different nations. And Ursula, thank you very much for being with us. Thank you.
Thank you for having me here. And very much looking forward to our conversation. I think it will be mainly around Ukraine, the missing children, and certainly the new hybrid threats we are experiencing in Europe. So thank you very much for making the time.
Well, thank you very much, and we will have a very good conversation. Any questions, please?
How soon do you think, Madam President, how soon do you think that Europe can stop buying Russian oil and gas fluid like President Trump has asked for?
Yeah, President Trump is absolutely right. We're on it. We have reduced already massively the gas supply from Russia, completely gotten out of Russian coal, and massively also reduced the oil supply, but there's still some coming to the European continent. So what we do now, we put sanctions out to those ports where, for example, LNG is coming from Russia. And we want to put tariffs on oil supplies that are still coming to the European Union. So we are really getting, after the last bits of oil and gas coming from Russia to the European Union, we want to get rid of it.
When do you think you'll be able to do that? You previously said 2027, and you're looking at a quicker timeline now.
We want to be out earlier, absolutely. So till the end of the year, we have the phasing out. We have now the sanctions on the table proposed. Member states have to agree. But we have to be faster because every payment is filling Putin's war chest. This cannot be.
Mr. President Obama, it's nice to see you. During your speech to the General Assembly, you talked about the UN not reaching its potential. Do you see any kind of consequence if they don't step up and do what they should on a number of issues?
Well, they've never really reached, not just now, they've never reached their potential. The UN could be unbelievable with certain people running it. And no, it's never reached the potential. Look, I put out 7 wars, if you think about it, and I'm not the UN, and I wasn't helped by the UN. I was never even given a phone call. But you have a list of the wars, and these were wars that were pretty much unstoppable. These are wars that were not going to be settled. One was 31 years, one was 32 years, one was 35 years, and altogether a total of 7. 2 were starting. And I was never called by the UN. I was never like, I didn't even think about it, frankly, until after we did it. I never gave it a lot of thought. And then recently I started thinking, you know, we were never helped by the UN. And the UN has tremendous potential, tremendous potential. It's going to hopefully put out the wars themselves. I mean, someday it's going to do what I've been doing. And they should be able to do it. Thank you for that question. I appreciate it.
Sir,
yeah.
Given what you just said, what structural changes would you like to see in the UN, and what role do you think it could play in peacekeeping, for example, going forward, given what you just said?
Well, it's a fantastic role in peacekeeping. It should be great. I mean, we shouldn't have any wars if the UN's really doing its job. I know they were involved originally with Russia, Ukraine, and that didn't get done because that was the time to stop it. But no, I always say about the UN, fantastic potential, but it's all about the people. You know, you can have a wonderful concept, but if you don't have the people. The UN has never lived up to its potential. But I'm the example of it. We do all these wars, and we weren't helped by the UN. We weren't hurt by them, but we weren't helped. They didn't do anything. And they're supposed to be solving these problems. Thank you very much, everybody. We have a lot of meetings. We have a lot of meetings to go.
What do you guys think? Do you guys think UN is not doing enough? I mean, someone just made a comment, and we're going to get to this right now because this is Secretary General. So I'm very curious to see what he says. But there was what I was saying earlier. These guys get together at the UN, give scripted speeches, and then go home, and nothing happens. So, and by the way, guys, I have a video that I want us to watch about acetaminophen and about Tylenol, and we're going to talk about that in a second. So right after this, I'm going to find that video and pull it up for us. So let's take a look at this, and then we're gonna look at something interesting about Tylenol. Very interesting.
Please. I will repeat what I said.
You go ahead. That would be great. Very nice. I love that, actually.
Now I want to say that you are very much welcome, Mr. President. Thank you. The United States was absolutely central in the founding of the UN, and for decades we have relied on the United States as our major political and financial supporter, thanks to the generosity of the American people, which we are very grateful about. On the other hand, I believe there are many areas where we can cooperate in a positive way, and I would think that the most important is peace. You have selected peace as a central objective of your mandate, and you have been going north and south, east and west, in all possible situations, getting or trying to get ceasefires, alleviating tensions, making peace agreements, or the building blocks of peace agreements. And I want to reassure you that the United Nations, from me to our teams on the ground, to our mission, we are entirely at your disposal to be able to work together for a just peace in the world, based on our common values.
Thank you very much.
The Constitution of the United States.
Right.
And one thing is, for me, extremely important, is that the suffering, the horrible suffering of millions of people in the world can be stopped.
Right.
And we fully appreciate your engagement in that regard.
Well, thank you very much. It's always an honor to be here. We've done this before, and this was a little more exciting because of the escalator and the teleprompter, but these things happen. But I will tell you that your people have treated us with great respect. Our country is behind the United Nations 100%. I think the potential of the United Nations is incredible, really incredible. It can do so much. So I'm behind it. I may disagree with it sometimes, but I am so behind it because I think the potential for peace with this institution is so great. So I just want to thank you for treating us so warmly. We very much appreciate being with you.
Great pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, so that was not very fruitful.
well, thank you very much,
conversation right there. A lot of these conversations are so-so. So what Zelensky had to say was interesting. I don't know if it's going to be, lead to anything, to be honest. I'm trying to find the video with Dr. Amen, and who, if you guys know, he's the brain scan doctor, and what he had to say about Tylenol. So just kind of curious about that. So first of all, what are your guys' take? Are you guys going to stop taking Tylenol? And I'm going to come over here and try to find this discussion with Dr. Amen about Tylenol and acetaminophen. Let's see here. Because he said the U.S. is boss in Europe. Well, Macron, Islamic people think the same way. One doctor with no peer-reviewed studies. One doctor with no peer-reviewed studies. That's not science. I don't know. I think it's something we can definitely look at because the guy does brain scans. And he had some other interesting things to say. Let me ask you guys this: Are there any vaccines that you guys think are not necessary? Are there any vaccines that you guys think may not be necessary for children to take, or every single baby to take when they're born? I'm curious about that. Acetaminophen. Okay, so here's the discussion. Okay, let's see here.
If you're pregnant, don't take Tylenol.
President Trump and health officials on Monday tying acetaminophen, the generic name for Tylenol, to an increased risk of autism, despite decades of research that says it's safe. Acetaminophen can help with fever and pain relief and is taken by more than half of pregnant women worldwide. Trump now saying officials will recommend limiting Tylenol during pregnancy unless it's medically necessary.
In cases of extremely high fever that you feel you can't tough it out, you can't do it.
The announcement comes after New York's Mount Sinai published an analysis of more than 45 studies last month, with some finding acetaminophen use during pregnancy may be linked to an increased risk of autism, but urged further study. Many other large-scale studies, including one published in JAMA last year, found acetaminophen use during pregnancy was not associated with children's risk of autism, ADHD, or intellectual disability. Ahead of the administration's report, the maker of Tylenol, Kenvue, strongly disagreeing with the White House, saying in a statement that a decade of rigorous research confirms there is no credible evidence linking acetaminophen to autism. Stephen Fleischman, doctor and president of the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, supporting that.
Our recommendations are, if you need it, it is a safe medication for you to use in pregnancy.
President Trump also saying without evidence, he thinks vaccines like those for measles, mumps, and rubella and hepatitis B should be spread out over time.
Don't let them pump your baby up with the largest pile of stuff you've ever seen in your life.
The American Academy of Pediatrics calling that dangerous and misleading. Adding spacing out or delaying vaccines means children will not have immunity against these diseases at times when they are most at risk. As for the next steps, the FDA is sending a letter to doctors with its concern about acetaminophen.
Okay, guys, let's check this out right here.
Tylenol, Excedrin, NyQuil, Dayquil, Theraflu, and even prescription painkillers. Over 50% of pregnant women use.
Let's do a refresh. Here we go.
Riskier than you think. Most people think Tylenol is safe. But what if I told you this everyday drug, acetaminophen, is quietly putting children and adults at risk for trouble? It's in over 600 products. Tylenol, Excedrin, NyQuil, Dayquil, Theraflu, and even prescription painkillers. Over 50% of pregnant women use it, but mounting research shows prenatal exposure is linked to a higher risk of ADHD, autism, sleep disorders, and emotional regulation problems in children. NIH-backed studies revealed that babies exposed to acetaminophen in the womb have up to a 3.6 time increased risk of developing ADHD or autism. Even more alarming, recent research shows that acetaminophen lowers empathy, blunts emotional sensitivity, and increases risk-taking in adults. This means it just doesn't numb your physical pain, it may also dull your emotional awareness and judgment. So what are we doing? We're handing out this drug like candy with no real warning. It's time to stop pretending this is risk-free, especially for pregnant women and their babies. Use it only when absolutely necessary at the lowest dose for the shortest duration. Because your child's brain and your own emotional integrity are too important to compromise. Love your brain, protect theirs. Think before you take Tylenol.
So, guys, there's a couple things that we want to talk about, and we're going to end this stream right after this. One is I just showed you two videos, one showing that it's fine, and now I'm showing one that's not fine. So, first of all, are you guys going to stop taking Tylenol, or are you guys going to stop, or for those of you, like, let's say you're going to get pregnant and have babies, will you stop taking Tylenol? The other question is, they had a discussion about reducing, been stopped. Nikki says been stopped. They had a discussion about reducing fevers. So when they had this announcement yesterday, President Trump and Dr. Oz and RFK Jr., they talked about reducing fevers, and they said, well, in some cases, we're too quick to reduce fevers because our body naturally increases our temperature and gives us that fever so that we could kill some kind of a disease or something like that. And we are, as a society, we're way too quick to jump in and right away try to kill these fevers. So what are your thoughts on that? And we're going to kill this pretty soon. We're going to stop the stream really soon. I got to go eat. I got a nice steak dinner waiting for me. And I got my protein shake that I wasn't even able to touch yet because I was just engaged with you guys the whole time. Yes. Amen. You're right, Dr. Amen. Yeah. I think it's interesting to listen to Dr. Amen because he does brain scans, and looks like a lot of what he talks about is based on actual research. So, yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I'm kind of conflicted. I mean, I'm not that conflicted. I don't need Tylenol. It's not a staple drug in my household, and I don't have headaches or fevers that often. So I don't. And when I do, I can find an alternative or take cold showers or something. Oh, amen, like heavenly amen. Gotcha. Okay, because his name is Amen, Dr. Amen. It's exactly spelled that way too. Suzanne says fevers are important. I agree, Suzanne. I'm a very mechanical guy. I'm always trying to think logically, and I always wondered when I get a fever when I'm sick, and everyone explains to me that hey, you're getting a fever because fevers fight the sickness. Well, then why are we reducing my fever? Kind of weird, right? Why are we reducing the fever like right away, trying to take stuff to turn the fever down? Kind of weird, to be honest. Yeah, your body's doing. Now, obviously, if the fever is too high to a point where it's going to be dangerous to you, then I get that. But I feel like as a society, we're too fast to cut the fever. I will probably Google it too. I can probably just Google it while we speak. Let's see. Should I ask ChatGPT? Okay, I'm gonna ask ChatGPT, guys. Yeah, I agree with the risk that you're talking about, but here, let's ask ChatGPT. Okay, here you go. I ask, are we too quick to reduce fevers? That's all I said. It says, yes, in many cases, we probably are too quick to reduce fevers. Why fevers happen? It makes the environment less favorable for viruses and bacteria. Risks of lowering fever too quickly. Let's read this part right here in the middle. So it says here, and I want to try to make this a little bit smaller so we can all read this. Let me bring this more in the center, right there. So I'm talking about this part right here, guys, in the center of your screen, this right here. Risks of lowering fever too quickly. Blunting the immune response. Bringing the temperature down right away can reduce the natural defense mechanism. Masking symptoms. Medications like acetaminophen, here we go, or ibuprofen, may hide how sick someone is, making it harder to know if the illness is improving or worsening. Overuse of medications, frequent or unnecessary dosing, can strain the liver, kidneys, or stomach. So I had a discussion this morning or yesterday. We had a couple discussions about this. I think it was yesterday about this specifically. And it turns out that acetaminophen is harmful to your liver, and ibuprofen is harmful to your kidneys. Now, I'm not a doctor, guys. You guys can all look stuff up, but I just did a chat GPT search here, and I think we are too quick to reduce fevers. So, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, guys, I think we had a great time today. That was a good nighttime, kind of a nightcap, little live stream. I appreciate you guys jumping on. Please subscribe to me so that you can catch me when I do more of these lives. I'm on all throughout different parts of the day. I jump on in the morning, middle of the day, at night. And we had a good talk. We saw some good stuff. Thank you. Love you guys too. Thank you so much for joining in the conversation. Whether you agree with me or not, or whether I agree with you or not, I'm always happy to have the open dialogue. Again, regardless of whether or not we agree. So thank you guys. Appreciate you guys. That was a wonderful live. And I'm going to go have my steak dinner and call it a night. I'll do some reading. I'm going to tell you guys about the book I'm reading too. For those of you that read, this is the book that I'm reading. Let me make this big, guys. This is the book I'm reading right here. This is me up close. This is me full screen. This is the book I'm reading right now. Notes from the Underground by Dostoevsky. Have you guys read this? Notes from the Underground, Dostoevsky. This is a trippy book, guys. This is a trippy book. But there we have it. There we have it. Anybody read that book, Dostoevsky? Anyone? Going once, going twice, going 3 times. All right, guys. Thank you and have a good night.